Oh, okay. Check it now. Is it showing now? Oh, it's showing now. Okay. So we live now. Um, just go there and see if you can hear what I'm saying. You can hear me. Hello everyone. My name is Anuluapo Gabriel. We are here at the Pompey Tech and Cultural Hub, and we are starting up with the introduction of what Portsmouth Tech and Cultural Hub is all about. Portsmouth Tech and Cultural Hub is about a community of tech people in the city of Portsmouth, and we try to ensure that we connect each other through networking. And next year, we are going to have a lot of programs coming up in terms of trainings, workshops, and things that will help grow the tech ecosystem in the city of Portsmouth. Today, we will be having speakers speak to us about digitalization and how you can leverage new trends. All right, so I'll call on Rebecca Simmons to talk about where we are, Spark. And Spark is our current host today. They have been very supportive. Current host. So Spark is our host today. They have been very supportive to community projects in the city of Portsmouth. And the leader, the owner of Spark Community will come to speak with us briefly.
So what am I saying?
Yes, just to introduce Spark Community, what you do here, and all of that.
So Spark Community is a charity in Portsmouth.
Yes.
Come stand with me. I feel then we're together then, aren't we?
Yes,
we're together. Yes. And it's a place for the community. So it's whatever the community needs is what we're happy to open our doors to. And this guy is special because he has a dream to reach out to people that need a community, and that's the tech community.
Yes.
And so that's what Spark is. It's just a place where people can come, take a breath, and maybe have an idea, which is what you have, and then build that idea, and then it's always pay what you can afford, so that everybody's dream can be fulfilled.
Sure.
And so we are very grateful that you've chosen us, but more than that, you started your journey.
Thank you.
And to spark this tech community into life.
Wow, I love that, to spark the tech community into life. So if you are online and you would like to donate anything to the Spark community, you can go to the website and donate to them. We thank you very much. We will be starting in earnest our first presentation by Harry Salami. Harry, you want to go live? Okay, 2 minutes, yeah. So just some minutes, and Harry will be coming on board now.
And you just started, so you started your tech journey.
Started. So people, let me go and check my YouTube.
So this is going to YouTube, LinkedIn.
Yes, YouTube. My Twitter. You said you are not.
They won't.
Yes.
So is this live already?
Yes.
So you should have somebody always talking.
Yeah.
Even if you're talking rubbish, just keep talking.
Yes. Okay. So he's speaking the voices, right? Okay.
So I'm talking to you.
Yes.
Into here. Let me get into there. Hi guys. Is it unmuted?
No. Parking is niceness.
Is it unmuted? Yeah. Ready? Good afternoon to all the people watching, to all the people that are here. I'm Harry Salami. I'm the founder of Front to Back Development. I'm a software engineer and a web designer, and I'm just here to talk about the digitalization in the modern era, using technology to grow your business, using technology to grow your brands. So I'm going to be referring to my phone occasionally here and there, just for my notes. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions, anything you want, anything like that. So first of all, I'm going to start with just a opening statement, opening hook. I know that people nowadays in the modern era, they look at social media, they look at people on social media, they're like, oh, how is this person making money on social media? Like, how has he managed to use this technology that we think is for kids to make money and to benefit his business, basically? And the number one question I always get is, how are you not overwhelmed with using all these new tools, all these new technologies to benefit your business and to benefit your career? But the main thing is these tools, TikTok, social media, these AI automation tools, they're not just for big companies. They're not just for influencers. They're a tool that anyone can use. Any business of any size, any person can use it. And today, that's basically what I'm just going to do. I'm going to talk about the reasons as to why you should be using AI, you should be using social media to benefit your business and to grow, especially in your career in tech. So the main thing, before we dive in, I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm going to tell you quickly why I'm here, basically. So I'm not here because I'm a genius. I'm not here because I'm super smart or anything like that. I'm only here because over the last couple of years, I've been experimenting with social media, with technology, with these tools. And I've used these tools to be able to work for me digitally, basically. Whether that's running my web design agency, whether that's working as a full-time software engineer, whether it's using TikTok to teach people about getting into tech and getting into software engineering and web development. The main thing I've done is learn how to use these tools to better my work and my business. So if you're sitting there wondering, oh, I'm not cut out for all of this digital stuff, it's too much, it's too overwhelming, don't worry. You need to be curious about it and then use that to be able to drive your work. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the current state of digitalization and why it matters. First of all, businesses. To any business owners out there, first of all, in 2024, you have to have an online presence. You have to be online digitally because of how over 70% of the money you're going to make, of the sales you're going to make, of the people you're going to network with are going to be online. For example, ever since COVID, especially ever since COVID-19, everything has moved online. Work from home moved online. Everything is moved online. So you need to learn how to use these tools to benefit you. First of all, it's not even just about technology as well. It's not just about having a website. It's about streamlining your processes, saving you time. Because the main thing we want in this life is time. Time is money at the end of the day. So you need to use it for automation. You need to use it for online marketplaces and for social media to grow your business and to grow your career as well. So there's an analogy that I like to use basically. So ignoring all these digital trends is like owning a store. Imagine you've got a store and you're keeping the doors locked because you expect your regular customers to come and find it, to come and see your store. That's not going to work because they're going to go to the store that's open and that's readily available to them. People go to what's easiest for them. So that's the main thing that you need to do. You need to open your stores to loads of different people to allow them to be able to access you. So the next point I'm going to talk about is leveraging all these different trends for your business growth. First of all, let's treat your business as a creator, basically. So the main thing we're going to do is talk about social media and how you use it in your business and how you use it for growth, basically. So a lot of people, you see they see TikTok, they see Instagram, they see YouTube, they see LinkedIn, and they think, oh, all these tools, they're just for kids. All these social media tools are just for kids to keep scrolling and look at cats, look at dogs, look at all these memes. No, Social media is a tool that even business owners can use, that even people in different industries can use to grow their brand and grow their agency and grow their content creation as well. So, for example, specifically for business owners, platforms like TikTok, like Instagram, you can use to showcase your products, you can use to showcase your services, and you can use these to basically work as ads for you, because natural storytelling works better than all these marketed ads, basically. So now I'm going to talk about, it's a taboo word that people don't like to talk about. I'm going to talk about AI and automation. Loads of people see AI and they get scared of it. They say, "Oh, I'm not using ChatGPT. I don't want to use AI because I'm scared that's going to take my job. I'm scared I don't know how to use it. I'm scared I don't know how to use all these AI chatbots." But the main thing is, tools like ChatGPT, they're there to make your life easier. They're there to solve problems and to save you time at the end of the day. So when you look at ChatGPT, for example, it's an AI tool people don't know. You can use that to be able to respond to emails that you don't want to respond to, that you don't have time to respond to. I've got a couple of reactions here that they're scared of AI. Those are the kind of things that you're going to use ChatGPT and AI for. Also, in terms of automation and doing all your manual labor, one analogy that I like to use is, for example, ChatGPT is like hiring a personal assistant. It's basically your personal assistant that you can use to do all your work for you. You can use to respond to emails. You can use to track different data. And the best thing is you don't even have to pay it overtime as well. So imagine that. It's just for free. Imagine that. That's what you're using it for. So, for example, for me, the way I use AI in my web design agency, in my software engineering job, is responding to emails. So when people send me an email, I'll use the AI to respond to emails. It'll gather all the information from that email and then respond accordingly. And that saved me 5 minutes there. It saved me 5 minutes here. Those are the type of things that you can use these AI tools for. And they work for you 24/7 as well. So that's to do with AI. Another reason to be using digitalization and technology in this day is community. Right now, I'm in the Spark community. This is the first time I've been here, but I've always been walking past it. I've always been seeing what's going on in there. And I've always felt there's a sense of community in places like this. So you can, instead of places like this as well, you can always build online communities as well, because not everyone can afford the rent. Not everyone can find a safe space to be able to host these type of things. So with online communities, it brings people to feel connected. So for example, for me, I'm starting a community for people who want to get into tech, people who want to learn software engineering, people who want to grow in the tech industry. And people love to feel belonging to something. That's the main thing, regardless of what it is. If people have got a common goal, common idea, common hobby, they love to be part of a community. So regardless if that's in person like this or online, people love to be part of a community. And we need to be able to use these tools and these online tools to be able to help these communities bring together and bring your life easier, basically. Cool. So I'm going to move to using technology in your career. So this is a question I get asked all the time. Let's talk about LinkedIn, for example. Let's talk about TikTok, for example. All these platforms, all these tools, they're basically like your online CV. Platforms like LinkedIn, GitHub, TikTok, they set you apart from competitors who don't have these tools. People are scared to hop on LinkedIn. People are scared to hop on TikTok because they don't know how to use it. They don't feel like it's going to benefit them in any way. But using all these social media tools will set you above competitors. Cool. So, for example, for me, when I first started being a web designer, I wasn't getting any customers. I wasn't getting any clients. I wasn't getting anywhere until I just started posting on TikTok. So, for example, what I would do on TikTok was I would show how I built websites. I would show the journey behind how I started to where I am now. I would show me talking to customers, talking to clients, and through that, people like to see a story. People like to see a journey. So then they fell in love with my journey. They fell in love with me, and from there, I could then sell them my web design services. I could then sell them what I do as a web designer. So those are the type of things you need to use in these tools for, and to be using these tools to do, basically. You need to grow a community and make people feel connected to you. And then from there, they're going to fall in love with your brand and then hopefully use your services. And another thing, apart from being in the community in your career as well, AI, these tools, these online tools, these websites, they're great for continuous learning. I'm 23 years old. Back in the day, people had to go to the library and read books, take these books out and manually read all these books. Right now, nowadays, we've got the biggest book in our hands every single day. That's our phones. It's at your fingerprint. Any question you have, you can just go on your phone. You can just go online, Google, type in, when was Martin Luther King born, for example? When was this established? How do I do this? How do I code in this language, for example? So the fact that it's so easy makes it feel like no one's got an excuse. Back in the day, people didn't have access to libraries, people didn't have access to books, people didn't have access to places where they can gain information. Nowadays, if you've got a phone, you've got no excuse basically. So you can use it to learn new technologies. You can use it to learn things for free as well as paid things as well. So there's different things like AI, like blockchain, like cloud computing, and staying up to date with all these type of things puts you on top of your competitors basically. So people who are not learning all these things will not have the advantage that you do because you're using online tools to be able to learn all these things. So it's like, for example, I like to tell myself this analogy basically. All these new trends is like updating your phone. For example, when the new iPhone comes out, you realize that why is my old iPhone not working as well as it was before? Because it's not up to date. It's not using the latest things. So now you've got setbacks and disadvantages compared to people who've got the newest tools. And the fact that you can use these tools so easily means that you should, and you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're not. So those are the main things. So now I'm going to talk about networking using all these digital tools, using all these digitalization. So platforms like LinkedIn, like Discord, even TikTok as well, they're great for connecting with people, with like-minded people who have the same hobbies and interests as you. Because the algorithms behind all these tools, they already put you in front of things that you're interested in. That's why, have you ever noticed that when you're on your phone, and let's say before you were talking about, oh, I need a new tablet, I need a new kettle. How come all of a sudden you go on your phone and now you're seeing adverts for kettles, for using new tablets? It's because they want you to be online and they want you to find these things very, very easily. So the fact that you can access all these tools and they already know what you're interested in means that you can access other people who are interested in the same things as well. So find these communities. If you're interested in learning about automation with AI, for example, just find a community that talks about AI, talks about automation, and you can easily access all the information that you need and find someone who's interested in the same things that you are. So with networking, it's another analogy that I like to say. Networking on these tools like LinkedIn, networking on these tools like GitHub, like TikTok. I had a question. So GitHub, for example, is a place where you can show your work and collaborate on different work. It's basically used by computer scientists mostly when they want to collaborate on different code together, basically. So if I've got GitHub and you've got GitHub, we can both collaborate on the same tool together and both add our work and add our ideas to it, basically. So using all these tools will help you connect with people and connect with people who are like-minded to you as well. So, for example, with me, I like to always refer back to me in my example. When I first hopped on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, people love to talk fancy on LinkedIn. They love to just announce, oh, I've got a new job here, or I've got a promotion here. So I was quite shy and quite nervous to use that platform because I feel like because I haven't got all these milestones, because I haven't got a new job, I haven't been promoted, I can't use it. But LinkedIn, that's not its primary function. Its primary function is to connect people. That's the main thing, to connect people. So I know someone who's hiring a software engineer, for example. Because you know me and because you might want to become a software engineer, you can now access that person because you know me. That's what LinkedIn is for. It's the connections that you build online that allow you to find these opportunities. They can hopefully progress in your career and hopefully progress in your business as well. So that's the power of LinkedIn in this example. So another thing that I like to say is with these platforms like LinkedIn and TikTok, they're like speed dating. A lot of people don't like speed dating because they feel nervous, because they feel like, oh, if I meet this person, if they don't like me, what now? I have to just move on. What if I do like them? So let's use all these LinkedIn, all these tools as a speed dating tool. Because if you find a connection with someone and then you move on, someone else is going to find that connection and do what they need to do. So if you're not using these tools like LinkedIn, like TikTok, the people who are using these tools are going to be making the connections that hopefully are going to benefit you. So that's why I like to say that all these tools, the TikToks, the Instagram, the LinkedIns, use them and don't be shy because there's loads of resources where you can learn how to use them as well. So the main things I want you guys to take away from this meeting are, I'm going to split into two sections, for businesses and for your career. So for businesses, I'm going to say, for example, your websites. Make sure that all of you've got a website, for example, because people use the internet to find out all their information. So make sure your website is optimized for speed. Make sure your website is optimized as easy to use for people out there. Because some people might have disabilities that they can't see. So make sure that it's really easy to read and the information that you want to put across is there and easy for people to find. One thing I also say for business owners, create content. Create content. It doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be edited super well. It can just be wholesome content of what you guys do every day in your business. For example, today you can just record people watching this meeting. For example, you can record people just drinking a coffee, people just reading a book. People love to feel like they're connected to something, and they love to see the real behind the scenes of what's going on. And that content, 9 out of 10 times, works better than paid ads all the time. People connect with the behind the scenes. People connect with the people behind these businesses. Another thing for businesses as well that I love to say is you need to implement automation as well. And automation isn't just using AI. Automation is reducing the amount of time you're spending doing something. So, for example, if you've got an email responder on your emails, instead of you waking up in the morning, 9 a.m., spending 2 hours replying to emails, you can use these tools to reply for the emails for you. And you've just saved yourself 2 hours where you can go and put more work into your business, into your career. So try and embrace these tools and not be scared of using all these tools, because there's so many benefits out there and there's so many ways you can learn it as well. So another analogy what I use is with businesses, think of it as baking a cake. You don't need to be a professional to bake a cake. Just follow the recipe and you can make a cake. So you don't have to be a professional person at using all these tools. Just follow the instructions and you can do it, and hopefully it can benefit you in your business as well. So I'm going to move on to professionals now. The 3 things I want you to take away as professionals in your career is pick one trend and master it. A lot of people get overwhelmed because they've got so many different things they want to learn, and they get overwhelmed like, oh, how do I learn this and this and this and this? It's not about learning everything. It's learn one thing, practice that, and then learn as you go along. That's the main thing. Just learn and practice as you go on. Another thing is for careers, build your personal brand. Online, using LinkedIn, using TikTok, using Instagram. Your personal brand is your online CV. The days of just handing in your CV into a store are gone. People are going to check your CV. They're going to check your online and your digital footprint. So they're going to search you up on Google. They're going to search you up on LinkedIn and see. They just want to get to know you. And that's the best way they're going to get to know you from your LinkedIn and your social media profile. So one, be careful what you post, but also be proud of what you post as well. So another analogy that I like to say with careers is your career is like a house. All these trends, all these new tools, it's like a toolbox. You don't need to use all of the tools to build a house, but just pick one tool and then you're going to make progress, and hopefully that builds that house eventually. And I'm just going to give some general final advice as well. You need to approach all these trends with curiosity. Approach all these trends with curious. Don't be nervous. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Just be curious. What does this do, for example? What does ChatGPT do? What does LinkedIn do? And by investigating this, you hope you find out the benefits, and then hopefully it will benefit you as well. And also another thing I like to say, you need to be willing to experiment and to fail. Like I said when I first introduced myself, I'm not here because I'm a genius. I'm not here because I got all the answers. I'm here because I'm willing to experiment, fail, and learn, and then come back and do more. That's the reason I'm here right now. Because I started my web design business in the pandemic where everybody was scared about getting ill, about going outside. I just decided to use this time to learn a new skill. And I'm still learning to this day. People love to ask me, oh, Harry, how do you learn all about web development? I don't. I'm still learning as I'm teaching you as well. That's the thing. No one knows everything. Everyone's just learning and going on as they're learning. So finally, just to encourage people who are watching online, to encourage people who are here, we're all in this together. That's what I'm saying. So all these tools, they're not here for me. They're not here for you. They're here for everyone to grow and to hopefully benefit you and save time in your business and in your career as well. So all these trends, they're opportunities for you to learn, opportunities for you to grow. The sooner you embrace them, the closer you're going to be where you want to be. So yeah, my closing line is, so don't just watch all these trends from the background, from behind the scenes. You need to ride the wave. For example, a surfer, I've never surfed a day in my life. I don't know how to surf. But if I'm surfing, I'm going to know, okay, cool. I can't control this wave. But if I ride the wave, then I'm going to get to where I want to get to. So don't try and control all these tools. Just ride it and use it to your benefit, and hopefully it will help you take you to where you want to be. So that's the main thing. Just jump in and use all these tools to benefit you in your career and in your business, and then hopefully you'll get to your destination. Thank you, guys.
Harry, I hope we all enjoyed the presentation by Harry. However, if we have any question for him, he's ready, he's here, he's always willing to answer questions. And yes, if we have any question that we may have gray areas on, and we just want to ask him things, Harry is here to answer, because we are in the Q&A session now. And if you have any question before I proceed personally to the case study, because the case study is going to be very engaging, we are going to be looking at two billionaires in quotes that have created things that everybody is using. You might have used them or you are still using them as we speak, all right? However, if you have any question for Harry, he's here now. And yes, anyone with any question? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor. Thank you, Harry, for the great presentation. I just wanted to write on what you were presenting. You mentioned some of these applications that sneak into your conversations, and then they tailor ads to suit those conversations that you had. From a developer perspective, what do you think one can do? Because personally, in my opinion, quite very annoying. I get gutted sometimes when I have conversations, and then 2 days later, I'm just seeing those ads coming right to my face. So, from a developer's perspective, what do you think we as users can actually do to kind of? I know we cannot completely eradicate it from a user perspective, but what are things that we can do to understand the risk and how we can, in a way, try to reduce it, that it doesn't sneak into all of our conversations, and what are the better ways we can use it from internet user perspective? Thank you.
That's a good question, because although there's benefits to all these tools listening and knowing your habits, knowing all the hobbies and stuff like that, there's also disadvantages in terms of privacy, in terms of security, and in terms of data protection as well. So with these tools, legally, they have to tell you when they're recording. So for example, every time you visit a website, people love to ignore this little pop-up that says accept cookies, decline cookies. People, because of time, they love to say, okay, let me just accept it and move on. But if you actually read the information that's on there, they're telling you that we are analyzing what you're doing on this website. We're analyzing the habits that you're doing on the website and what you're clicking on. So when all these pop-ups appear, just take 2 minutes just to read it. And if you're happy with it, you can accept it, but you can always decline it. That's the thing. You've always got a choice. It's your choice to accept or decline. So these are on websites. But for example, when you're just using your phone and you're not aware that maybe it's listening, or you're not aware that maybe it's taking different habits from when you're just browsing your phone. Again, on your phone, for example, on an iPhone, you can always go on your settings application and you can turn off user tracking. You can turn on data protection, for example. So it's just a case of, if you're really interested and you're really particular about your privacy, your data protection, legally they have to tell you what they're doing and what they're using the data for. So it's just about Googling the software that you're using, Googling, how can I prevent this from working? So it's just, they have to give you a choice to be able to accept it or decline it. So it just takes 2 seconds to just research how can I monitor what is being tracked and what is not being tracked. So just take 2 seconds of your day. For example, on an iPhone, you can just go on your settings and turn off that monitoring, turn off that cookie and that analytics, and then it'll turn it off, and then you can minimize that. But like, it's a very good question, because there's advantages to it and there's also disadvantages to it. So you got a benefit depends on your scenario as well. So yeah, no worries. Is there any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry. My name is Pompey. I want to know the future of education, because I think, though I didn't come in early, you started, but I heard you talk about maybe ChatGPT, probably some other online learning platforms.
Yeah.
So, what's the future of education with this level of advancement in technology? Because these days, I don't need to be in a classroom setting to learn a whole lot. You understand? I can learn a whole lot online. You understand? And from my schooling experience, I just finished my master's in September. School, they're always warning us, don't use ChatGPT, don't do this, don't do that. So I don't know why they're always like, they feel jittery, about. So I don't know, what's the fear?
Yeah.
Is it like they want to stay relevant? They don't want technology to take their jobs away?
Yeah.
And they kind of want to distort our view about the authenticity of those online learning platforms.
Yeah. I feel like there's advantages and there's disadvantages. For example, with schools, I think the main reason they try to stop you from using these tools, I don't think it's even to benefit them. I think it's to benefit you, because using these tools, these AI tools, these quick ways of learning, they see it as cheating, or they see it as a way of just learning things quickly and using the tool to do the work for you instead of you using the work. So one thing I always encourage when you're using these AI tools like ChatGPT and all these other machine learning platforms is try to understand the foundations first of what you're asking it. Don't be like, cool, I've got this assignment, I'm going to copy this assignment into ChatGPT and just use that as the answer for what I'm being. You need to take the time to use the tools properly for you to benefit your learning. So one thing I like to do is, because you got to realize these tools, they're so powerful. For me, for example, when I'm using ChatGPT, instead of typing to it, I talk to it. So I'm like, cool, I've got this assignment and I'm going to do this assignment myself, and I want you to mark it as if you're my lecturer, and mark it and tell me how the grades I'm going to get, and tell me how I can improve it as well. So you need to use it as deeply as possible. So things like asking it to mark your work, things like asking it to teach you if you don't understand the concept. It's not a case of just copying and pasting the answer. So that's the answer to the first part as to why schools discourage it. I feel like they discourage it because they're scared that people are using it to cheat and people are using it to just do the work for them. Secondly, to answer the second part of your question, the trends that's going to go through and how it's going to be in the future. I feel like in terms of school, like you mentioned, people aren't going to need to be in lectures. For example, for me and for a lot of people around my age, their university experience was cut short because of COVID. So all my lectures, for example, my first 2 years were online. So I just would go wake up in my bed, turn my laptop on, and I'll be in my lecture and I'm learning. I wouldn't say I was learning, but I'm learning. Do you know what I'm saying? So the fact that we can be away from schools, away from libraries and still learn, again, it's benefits and disadvantages. The fact that I'm in my home means maybe I'm more comfortable and maybe I'm paying attention more, but also there could be more distractions, for example. So what I like to say is you got to have a balance of both. You got to use these tools to make your life easier. Let's say if you can't go into a space where you can learn or read a book, if you can't do that, then use these tools. By all means, use these tools. But if not, you still got to use the old-fashioned way of learning and using the old school ways, using a book, going to a library and learning as well. You got to try and balance it both to be able to use it and get the full benefit from it. So the main thing I would say with the progression is going to be to a point where everyone is using AI for everything. So I feel like the main thing is you're not overly reliant on AI. So let's say there was to take away ChatGPT now. Would you still be able to do your job? Would you still be able to answer this question? Would you still be able to do what you used it for in the first place? So make sure it's not taking the place of you. Make sure you're just using it as a tool to make your life easier and to learn quickly. That's what I would say is the main thing. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah. On a lighter note, some of them will tell you that if at all you use it, you should quote it.
You should quote it as well.
Trust me, nobody will.
But nobody's quoting. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. You don't know what's going to happen after quoting it. So,
in addition to the response Harry gave, I think from my observation, because when you are doing something like thesis or answers, they want you to read truly and thoroughly, research. All right, and in ChatGPT, it's a collation of different data, those ones that are false, those that are right, and all of those things. And when you are presenting, knowledge in terms of reports or dissertation, they want it to be fact-based, all right, and they want it to be, embedded in thorough research. So if you just lump up all those, informations that you got on ChatGPT and you just drop it on the table of your lecturers, things like that, they have consequences because they are not truly embedded in research and all of those things. So I think it is important, even for us for future, to ensure that some of these things are clearly demarcated, because those that are in the data space, they will know through machine learning. We have those what I call it, is it unscripted data that you just get from all sources and you just dump it. So let's say someone say this thing is not black or it's not red, but factually this thing is gray blue. All right, someone can put it online to say, oh, this thing is red. All right. However, based on the fact that you have researched it, you have sought the thought of different leaders of research, and you brought everything together. That's why they are insisting. However, the trends are changing. They are even what would I call it now, AI tools that will help you do better research, that will collate knowledges from different aspects, different database to say, oh, this is the right thing to do. So it's just about knowing the right way to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other contribution to that?
Yeah. So you were talking about, I think you were talking about listening in the listening in on our conversation. Because I mean, I think it's gone past listening in. It's like mind reading. Last night I was just thinking about something and then I hadn't said anything. I was thinking about it. I was right in front of the laptop and then it pops up. I'm like, okay, something is going on here. So for decline, I know about decline. I mean, that's basically the first thing I do. You don't even accept I decline. But then even after you decline, nothing happens because I mean, it's still, your footprint is still there. So why are you asking me to decline if you're not going to honor my opinion? Why does that happen?
I think it's because people have not been aware that they can decline in the first place. All these tools, all these tracking tools, they've been working for years, they've been working for months. So they've seen your habits, they've seen what you're viewing on the internet, they've seen what you're searching up, they've seen what you're doing over months, over years, for example. So declining today, it's not going to change the fact that they've got all this data on you for the past 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months. So in addition to just declining as well, you can also ask them to remove the data they have on you already. So all these websites, you can contact them and say, cool, I'm not comfortable with you having my data. I'm not comfortable with you tracking my data. Please, can you remove it? And legally, they have to remove it because it's your information, it's your security and your information. So apart from just declining it, you can also say, okay, cool, I've declined this now, but I also want you to remove the data that you've got on me so that I know that I'm not being tracked as well. So it's a case of where, so for example, if you're on a website, let's say usually shopping websites is what do this the most. They track what you've been Googling, they track what you've been searching, and they'll give you targeted ads based on these results. So for example, if you go on ASOS.com, the first thing you can do is go to your account information and you can check your data privacy section, and then you can ask them to remove any information that they've got on you or to stop tracking your information, for example. So all these websites, legally, they have to have the option to decline and delete as well. Legally, it's part of the government rules. So you can always access these websites and tell them, okay, cool, can you delete it? Can you remove it? So yeah, that's the best advice I can give for people who are not comfortable with all these AI tools.
So I understand. I even know about going incognito. Yeah, but still,
even in incognito, there's still ways for these companies to able to track. That's why there's big communities. Like I said about communities, there's big communities who are really against this kind of stuff that you can go and join, and then they would know more information about how we can hopefully prevent it and minimize the disadvantages and hopefully just the advantages. So it's a case of finding these communities, and if you're really interested in it, you can join these communities, and then you can be like, cool, what other people that have the same opinion as me, what are we going about to do to be able to prevent them tracking the information? So that's the best advice I can give. But it's just the way technology is going, the way these tools are going, it's only going to get more and more, I'm afraid, because that's how they tailor your personal marketing and personal experience on the internet. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Please
let's put our hands together. All right. Yes. Take a picture together. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So we are proceeding to the next stage, and this one is will be very conversational in nature.
It's connected to
Okay. So we're going to be talking about okay. Thank you very much. So we are going to be talking about this, and every one of us. So we are going to be speaking about it from our professional point of view, right? It is digitalization, how to leverage new trends for business growth and professional career. Most of us here are professionals, business owners, and career people. And I understand that in one way or the other, we would have used a digitalization tool, or we would have experienced digital transformation at our place of work. All right. And we need, because there are people online who would want to tap from our wealth of knowledge. And we want to have a case study of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, right? I know most of us must have had that name one way or the other. If we have not had the name, we would have used their platform, we would have used their products, and these are billionaires, right? However, they have some, how will I call it? They have some tools. They have some characteristics that we can learn from, either as professionals or as business people. And we will be looking at it today and we'll be discussing. Everyone here today will have something to say about some of these points, all right? So sorry, I'm trying to, okay. So we'll be talking about the introduction, that's the components of digitalization, concept of digitalization, discussion and contribution, Q&A, and conclusion, all right? So we can see their faces, but I want to first ask, right, who can tell me anything about either of these two great men? I know some of us might have reservations against one person because he's been everywhere lately, and some might argue or may argue that he really influenced the last election in the United States of America, all right? However, we could have some positive, lessons from his activities, because obviously there is no way we'll have a human being, there will be positives and there will be negatives, all right? So we could look at the positive side, how tenacious he is as a businessman, how he did not give up. And the other person, who is Jeff Bezos as well, we could also talk about his customer-centric nature. Because if you look at the way some of their companies are, they are very, and Ari talked about them earlier. These are part of the giants that take our data, right? They are the people that brings up these things that, these softwares, they develop them. So we'll be looking at their activities and their lifestyle. So we want to start with, oh, sorry. Okay, I want to start with myself. My name is Anulu Akpo. J. Okay. Okay. So my name is Anulu Akpo J. Gabriel. The J there is Joshua, founder and CEO of Pavlera Technology and Portsmouth Tech and Cultural Hub. Well, I'm not yet a billionaire because the people we are speaking about are billionaires, right? And I am from Lagos, Nigeria. I am passionate about technology, and that's why I'm starting this thing. And I want to thank everybody that is here today, because we only know a start of a thing. We don't know how big it becomes in the future. And I am glad that the people seated here today are the core part of the start of a new thing. And I'm really, really grateful to everyone that is here today. I support Chelsea Football Club. These are facts about me, right? And I love meeting new people. There are people here that I didn't even know that they are going to be here, and I'm so, so grateful for having everyone here. I will be leading this case study session today. So I would like to bold this. Oh, sorry. So number one, who is sorry, this thing is very small, but I will be picking it up. But I want us to have a conversation. Most of us know this man. His name is Jeff Bezos, right? And he's the founder of Amazon. How many people have ordered something from Amazon before? Virtually every week or monthly. All right. In fact, the webcam we are using for this particular was ordered from that website. All right. So He is one of the biggest e-commerce. It changed the face of e-commerce. And there's another thing there. These are facts about them, right? Bezos introduced Amazon Prime in 2005. And who can tell us how Amazon started?
Sure.
Yeah, an online bookshop, right? It started as an online bookshop, and before we know it now, wow, thank you so much, Mr. Usmani. Thank you. So it started as an online bookshop, and here we are. It has diversified into different aspects of technology that, as a business owner today, you cannot do without any of its services. These are part of the conversation. These are part of the things we should look out for, right? Number two is the pioneer of Amazon Web Service, AWS. It's a cloud-based platform where businesses can use to store their data. And these are part of the things that we were talking about that Harry spoke about. Data is the new oil. That's some saying now. Data is the new oil, right? And his focus on long-term growth. Bezos consistently reinvested profit back into Amazon. So there's a particular strategy about Jeff Bezos, right? Any profit he makes from his ventures, even before having maybe venture capitalists and all of those things, he ensures to reinvent and reinvest it into those companies. And that is why you see him as being a giant and one of the they call them Silicon Valley mafias. All right. So he is a very, very tenacious person. He created a marketplace model, and these things are things that are already happening in our everyday life. It's just that they transformed these things into what? Into with technology. They brought it. So, for instance, some of us that are from Africa, you know that in Africa there are places called markets. They call them in Yoruba Oja, where different market women will come. They bring their wares. They just pay for their store, right? However, these people transform these things into places like Amazon. And you could go on Amazon and you said you need a webcam. You will see different sellers bringing some of these things. And these are things we should look out for as business owners, pioneers, as to how can we meet the needs of people, right? So you may be offering different services. However, how can you democratize it? How can you expand it? Because these things are there, but people never paid attention, all right? And he revolutionized that e-commerce space such that there is no day on this earth anybody will not use, what's it called? Amazon today. So the next one is customer obsessed, right? And that was one of the things. And you must have heard this probably when people say, "Oh, Amazon drive people like slavery," all right, because of the vision of the head, the vision of the person who is called Bezos. So I would not want to talk about all of these things, and we can, also make further research about him. But there is a particular place I'm going to. Okay, so Elon Musk, the controversial man in the room. All right, so everybody knows him, and he's the pioneer of Starlink. There is a particular online space that he too pioneered. That's the online banking space. And most people may not know this, but if you have used PayPal before, please can you kindly raise up your hand? Yes. So he's one of the founder, or I'll call it co-founder. So what he did was that he started X. There's a particular online payment platform he started. The other person, I think I've forgotten his name now. He's the owner of there's a particular name they called it, but he merged with that person and they became PayPal. However, there was a particular tool this man brought into it. He brought agility into that system. And today, PayPal is the biggest payment platform in the world, doing trillions of transactions per day. All right. And prior to that, he has done a lot of things in terms of software development, started his entrepreneurship journey very, very small, right? And today is the richest man in the world. However, both of these people, the reason why I brought them together is that they have similarities and differences. All right. Here we say founder of multiple, CEO of Tesla. He revolutionized two space, the banking space, the online banking space, and the car space, which is the electronic car. X space, so he's going there as well. So the online, the car space, the electronic car space, he's not the owner, he's not the founder of Tesla itself, but he came into the system, he bought the system, and he revolutionized everything. And if you look at his career trend and his career traits, he has always gone into a particular sector. Even he sees the things that people doesn't see in that sector. For instance, the SpaceX, he's currently working on reusing rockets. And people are like, are you crazy? How is that possible? And he's doing it. He's done it. So as business owners, as professionals, if we get to any space that we are in, we should look at it. Obviously, there are going to be challenges. All right. How can we, change the system in this place? However, there are three things that these people have always used in advancing their career, and I want us to quickly talk about it now. What digitalization component do you see about them? There are three digitalization components these guys have, and we'll talk about it now. People, process, and operations. There is nowhere in the world, even as tech, as AI is driving, AI is growing, and people are like, AI is everywhere, right? Some people are the machine learning engineers, right? Some people are the one gathering the data, and there are processes to these things, and there are operations with which these things are carried out. So, we want to talk about some of these things for us, all right? From their business perspective, how has people, process, and operations enabled digitalization in our current day? Anybody want to speak about it?
I want to talk about.
Okay.
So for me,
Okay.
from experience, I'll talk about people,
Okay.
network, opening yourself up to whether you're an entrepreneur or you're the head, opening yourself up to people and all cadres, because you never can tell where this idea will come from. Your idea might not come from up there, it could come from down there. But if you're willing to, if your process allows everybody to, if your process values everybody, values every contribution, you don't look at an intern and say, what do you know? Okay, so for example, I would say for us as Africans, which dream, I wanted to say for us as Nigeria, because dream is here. For us as Africans, we have a culture of ageism. So I'm in the office and I think that my intern doesn't know anything. Or I look at the intern and I'm like, I have, so technically or automatically we've shut out somebody's value, but you don't know, you never can tell where, because if you look at all of them, if you look at all the from Meta and all the people that you've mentioned, the idea didn't necessarily come from them. They could have sown the seed, but their people brought, it's leverage, it's a game of leverage. So for me, that's what it is about people. Without the people first, and people is part of process, there will be no operations. So I'm just talking about people. That's what it is for me.
Thank you very much. And that is a very notable point, because there's a saying that if you want growth or progress, invest in people, right? And there are a lot of, some of these people, yes, they might be very brutal in nature in terms of driving their visions. However, it is the people that are there that are helping them. Anybody else? My boss here, Mr. Shola, is a business transformation person, so he would like to contribute on it too.
I think she's actually spoke my mind.
Okay.
Because I just wanted to classify it too. When we talk about people, we look at it from the team that you're working working with to make the processes and the operation continue, and also the people from the aspect of understanding the people you're actually producing the product or the service you're rendering to. You need to actually understand what it need. It's not nice to have, and I think based on my over a decade and a half years of experience in entrepreneurship and professional career growth, you see a lot of people that they have fantastic idea of product or service, they just want to put it out there or go live on the product without actually understanding that those people actually need the solution. Is this something that is going to meet the problem or solve the problem of people out there? So these two great men that we're talking about today, and having looked at their life, they leverage a lot on this. Elon Musk would be a very radical person or entrepreneur when you talk about dealing with people from an internal perspective. Just look at Twitter when he bought it. He just laid off about, I think, 60% of the workforce. It was unimaginable. But look at the way Twitter is trending now, and a whole lot of all that. So as a component of digitalization, yes, people is very important. Looking at it from those two aspects of the team you're working with and also the people you are providing the service to, because it's very difficult to get the right set of people to work with from a collaborative mindset, or actually getting them to work with you on the solution that you're building. So I'll yield the mic for now.
Thank you so much. Mr. Drame, do you have any contribution?
Well, I would basically say in this obviously DNA, yes, I agree. You have to do your market research first to find out people are interested in what you're looking to offer. However, for the past, I would say like 5-10 years, you now see product being pushed to people even though they don't like it, or even though they're not interested in it, because they've got celebrities like, pushing this product to people and they're buying it because of people. Does that make sense? They don't really sort of like, I would say they don't really sort of, they don't see use of the product. They don't see the value of the product, but because they see someone, a public figure, using the product. For instance, like you see Prime. We've had a lot of young people don't like the taste of Prime, but because they're doing it, because people behind Prime. Does that make sense? I 100% agree with that. I partly agree with you saying you need to, obviously you have to do your market research to find out people behind, market research to sort of like see people interested in the product.
Right.
However, for the past 5-10 years, we've seen people buying things just because like people behind them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a fast growing thing. You can have a product that doesn't taste good, that doesn't really have a lot of use, but because like people that have you backing the product, it actually goes and sell. Prime is doing really well. But if it tastes Prime,
I understand. And thank you so much. We are coming to that because these are concepts of digitalization, and we are going to. I think you are going to speak about that. So we'll come back later.
I think that's actually. I think there's something that thing is called. I'm trying to remember it because it's part of the negative aspect of influencer-based marketing. So because I'm an influencer, I don't take Milo, but I come out and I hold it and I ask you to, and I market it because of the proceeds. That's actually why Harry spoke about when he spoke about consent and all those. That's actually why now when for example, I have a blog. If an affiliate marketing right now, you're required in the recent years, you're required to say, I could get paid for marketing this product. Unlike before, I wouldn't say anything, but I'll push it to you. And then there are people there who don't have their minds, who don't know anything, but because they like me, they see me and they follow me and they aspire to be like me, and they see me using that thing, so they just go for it. So that's the two different things. One, he's talking about a product that know your market, make your research, find out if this will sell. And then he's talking about, people just push out things and
it sells.
Yes, for example, also if
It's actually very relative, but
they're more relative. They're more
It is.
relative. But if we're saying, okay, if from the beginning I've always been, I know that it's good to know your market, but Mark didn't ask me anything before he brought out Facebook. I didn't know I needed Facebook before it came out. So there are some of those things that we don't know that we needed. I'll give you an example again, and I'll go back again to Nigeria. So as at 3-4 years ago, I traveled within Africa, and I ran out of cash. I needed cash, and I didn't have a credit card. And I saw a First Bank. There's a bank called First Bank. I don't know if you have it in game. Yeah. So I saw a First Bank and I went into it. I needed money. Only for me to find out that it wasn't the same. This was West Africa. It wasn't the same thing. And I was stuck. But I had to get somebody in another African country to get me money. And you know how I got the money? Through the people who call Malam, the BDC people.
Right.
Yeah, the person in another country had to send it to his own Malam in the country where I was under. So at that stage, I realized that we needed, you can't be in West Africa and you're looking for cash. Because the easiest way to get money is if you live in that country and I'm a tourist and I come to you and I'm like, okay, so we swap. You give me the currency and that's the easiest way to get money off the market. But officially, how do we get? Why do you go as a tourist within a sub-region and you get stuck? But right now, as I speak in Nigeria, in Africa, there are seamless. So that's part of market. Right? Yeah, you didn't know you needed it, but somebody pushed it out and it's flying.
It's because it was a problem. That's why a solution has to be created for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, to basically, just to touch base on that before you move on, your solution, what basically is saying when people actually sort of need something and then you push it out in the market, in terms of longevity, that's what would last for a long time because people need it.
Yeah.
But all these quick things that you see, this is just kind of like the lifespan literally could be like 4, 5, 10 years, and then that's it, it's gone. But that's what I just wanted to sort of like.
And just to allude to what you said, because it made a lot of sense. I was actually looking at it from a luxury perspective.
Right.
Because if you're actually looking at people that, if you're looking at it from a need and nice to have perspective, a lot of people will not buy the product and it's a disaster to happen in a few years.
It's a lifestyle,
exactly, lifestyle products, things like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we could see these things, how they shape our society, right? Some of us, we may not have an understanding of these things before, but through this conversation, we could even realize she has mentioned a particular problem in Africa, which requires solution, which people are already building solutions for. I don't want to mention names now, but these payment platforms have started emerging. And these are things I still do tell people that Africa is the next mining ground, all right? Because there are a lot of solutions that need to be built there. However, people are, talking about the strength of, cash flow and, the strength of the market in terms of can they pay for some of these services. But as we go on, we will realize these things. So we said there are many concepts. So we want to go about the concepts. He was talking about one of the concepts, right? There are a lot of concepts of digitalization, but I had to pick 4 because of our time today. Because if we say we should talk about it, we are going to spend the whole day here. So there are 4. We talk about digital access, digital voice, digital trust, and digital democratization. So if we want to start from digital access, who can talk to us about digital access? All right, digital access, like. Let me go to digital access now so that everybody can see. Sorry, these things are kind of very I don't know. Okay. Digital access refers to the ability of individuals and communities to effectively use digital technologies, tools, and the internet for communication, education, business, and other essential activities. And I want to thank this gentleman here, Mr. Osmani. I was privileged to be at the ball, and I saw a lot of good things they are doing back home in Equatorial Guinea, right? And it is kind of massive. However, someone said something about digital access. You don't know the value of what you have until you lose it. 1993, 1994, if we look at the history of these people that we talked about, you will see that they started their career around 1993, 1994, 1992, because these were the eras when digital access started taking roots in in North America, in Europe, and all of that. Because there were, what digital access brings about is it brought about innovation. All right, digital access has to do with Wi-Fi. These are digital infrastructure, and I think they mentioned it here, right? That there are three things. Like, okay, let me go there. It says affordability. Sorry, let me quickly see. Component of digital access. Sorry, infrastructure. What are the infrastructure tools available? We can see here anywhere you walk to in this country now, even if you are in the train station, although we'll come to that, even if you are at the train station, you have access to Wi-Fi. You are here, you have access to Wi-Fi. These are digital infrastructure, and these are the things that enable these people to, kind of blossom, because you would see part of their businesses are part of like digital infrastructure, part of the businesses they have created. So, for instance, Amazon Web, AWS services, right? It's digital infrastructure providing cloud-based services. He has done that, and these tools are needed by everybody. If you are in the technology business, you need a cloud service as at now, in order to fight against the issue of cyber security and all of those things, right? And we want to go to the next one, which talks about affordability. In some parts of the world now, internet is a very, very expensive thing to access. And these things are things that can bring about business growth and professional growth. So, for instance, someone that wants to learn a skill, let's say a cybersecurity skill, for instance, and doesn't have free Wi-Fi, it doesn't have access to places like Udemy, how will the person know what to do? All right. So these things help in creating digital access. And the number three is saying digital literacy, the skills needed to use digital tools effectively, and inclusivity. So in relation to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, so what are the digital assets these guys are trying to provide? Number one, SpaceX. Who can talk about what SpaceX is? We might have read it or something. Who can talk about what SpaceX is? Madam Victoria, you want to try? Okay, yes.
It's a satellite company, and also they're trying to like put tons of satellites and spaceships into space.
Thank you very much. It's a satellite company, yeah? You want to say?
And their main goal is to like try and see if there is life outside Earth or what the aliens. Either with disturbing space exploration.
Space exploration. And thank you very much. I think there are two things, and he has mentioned that number one is space exploration, because I still watched one of his interviews yesterday. He was like, they want to be by, I think, year 2030. That's in 6 years that people will be going to live on Mars. All right. And this guy, people think he's crazy. However, the way he's going, these things will come up. All right. And then if you follow his update very well, you will see that he will say Starlink is in Nuna. There are some small countries that even lack access to digitalization. So, for instance, some of the countries in Oceania, but because he has been able to explore space and put some of these things there, these guys now have access to digitalization. They can see what is going on around. If you are in anywhere in the world, you could have conversations. How do we get to know about the last election in America? Because we have digital access. If you ask some people in other parts of the world, they will tell you who is even contesting. Some of them don't know the president, they don't know these things. And you will agree with me that some of the things that are happening in these nations shape the economy of the world. For instance, why is it that everybody was bent on the election that was happening in America? Because some of these things, some of the conversations there, these people, the person that becomes the next president, has a lot of things to do with all the global things that are going on, because they are regarded as powerful nation who influences different things. So there is a lot of things about digital assets. So they also talk about Amazon Web Service. That's for Jeff Bezos, that right? They provide like cloud hosting. That is what Amazon Web Service are. And these are digital assets. If you are in technology, some of these things, they help you, provide, will I call it, succor for your tools and softwares if you are using if you are using Amazon Web Service. So I think we should quickly go to the second one, which is, I think, digital voice. Yes. So this digital voice is something that we really need to talk about, because one, it is part of what Mr. Osmani was talking about earlier, which could, if not handled well and spoken of, will kind of create some imbalance in the nature of things and businesses. He mentioned something that sometimes you might not even want to eat whatever they are advertising, but because someone you like, right, someone you really adore, like an influencer, and we can see most companies nowadays are moving into influencer marketing. You will see, I think there was something that happened on Twitter one time like that. A person was advertising Samsung and she was using iPhone. All right. And people, told her that, okay, why are you advertising this when you are using another product? And then the influencer had to quickly delete that post. Because these are the things, right? Influencers, the voice, and there are different strategies they use. They said number one is key component of digital voice, content creation and communication. Because see, there is a lot of podcasts now, and some people will agree with me. The last election, someone alluded to the fact that one of the candidates went to a podcast, the other candidate did not go to a podcast, and it changed the narrative of how the whole thing went. And I want us to note something. These billionaires, both of them have a particular outfit. For instance, Jeff Bezos bought Washington Post in 2005 or thereabouts. And these tools are used to shape opinions for these billionaires. And when Elon Musk saw that, what was it called? X was available, he bought it. And as Mr. Shola rightly said earlier, he changed the narrative of that place. When he came in with a sink, right? Some of the people, you could look at the picture online. He said he's going to transform the whole thing. People were like, are you crazy? Twitter has thousands of, workers. And he said, I don't need thousands of workers to make things work. I only need people that wants to work, right? And he laid off people. He had a lot of, lawsuits and all of that. But he was determined to make things work. And people, I believe if people go into research to know what brought about the new candidate that is in the United States now, I know for a fact that that particular platform will be one of the things that will, be fingered as to these are part of the things. So who else wants to talk about digital voice? Okay. Princess, yeah.
So I think digital voice, like you mentioned, is really now and the future. This is because we're in a digital world. Attention span is like really, really, really low for the world we are in now. So when you see someone that has vast knowledge in a particular environment, or has the high number of followership, or has good loyalty and community, they are real good to help influence. I'm gonna use this election you talk about. I mean, I've never seen Elon Musk that interested in politics. Man was everywhere, doing everything, going around with his son Baron, and I'm like really confused. I'm very sure that guy actually went to toilet with Donald Trump, because that guy was everywhere with him, and that's also a digital voice. Elon Musk was a digital voice for Donald Trump, whether we like it or not. This takes us to even to people that like sell food. We have food critics, we have food influencers, we have influencers in different worlds. So I believe that the digital space now, digital voice is one of the greatest things, and that's why I'm really happy to be here, because I see the great things that you do online, and I see the great things that Ari does always on his TikTok, always on his Instagram, his live feeds, and get followers and all of that, because he's a voice in that space, in the space at which he operates. So yeah, that's never.
Yeah. So Mr. Usmade, you really touched on a particular point. However, for those that are watching online and you really work with a lot of youth, right? What do you have to say on this particular topic?
Well, I would basically say it's a scary one, because obviously, if you take young people, for instance, social media is like a very scary thing. You know, people see what's on social media and then they just follow it. They necessarily might not believe it or like it, but because they see people doing it, they just go and do it. I mean, door kicking. It was like, I think a few months ago, there was something that was like really trendy on social media. It was door kicking. You go and kick someone's front door and run away. You know, we had a lot of referrals from the local authority because kids were going to random people's houses and then just kick it and then run off. Because it's all basically to do with digital voice. People, they're seeing things online and they're following those influencers to go and do these things. It could be a great thing, you know, because it doesn't cost a lot of money. For instance, I used to work as a media specialist. This was not my previous, a few years ago. I did that for 10 years.
Okay.
And we used to sell direct mail, you know, where like a physical copy comes through the door by word mail. But then with digital platform, literally on Facebook advertisement, you could actually with 16 pounds, you could target 5,000 people back then. And then you're telling me like, right, do you want to buy direct marketing for like, you know, 5,000 pounds, or do you want to sort of like, you know, target a specific, because with digital voice now, you can actually sort of like target a specific areas that you actually sort of like exactly people need. So for me, I use it, I like it, but to an extent. That's what I would say. Because obviously there's a lot sort of like cons and a lot of issues with it that I don't really want to go into. But it's a great platform. Definitely use it to advantage. But you just need to sort of like have the barriers as well, because it could actually get out of hand.
Thank you so much. And these are part of the conversations, right? Because as he rightly said, these things can easily get out of hand. Especially there's a particular one trending now. Something we don't judge.
We listen.
We listen, we don't judge. All right. And then you tend to look at it that these things these children are saying, or these youth are saying, right? Some of them are, you know, these are digital footprints. These things can cost people in some certain aspects. Unfortunately, we are sorry that we will not be able to select you because they have digital. We are not trying to be a moral police or something, but the things you put out, these things have effects on your digital footprint. So we will quickly go to the next one, which is digital trust. And I think this is very, very relative, because most of us at one point or the other, we would have doubted if we wanted to buy something online. I believe when Amazon first came out, were you skeptical when you wanted to make an order first, when you wanted to put that your credit card on that platform, that is this thing safe or not? Definitely. All right. And this digital trust alone is a concept that I did my MSc research on it, dissertation on it, and I can tell you for free, we have a long way to go in the digital world in terms of protection, because this aspect is the cyber security side of things. All right. And there is a lot of key components. I think one of the components here is talking about privacy and data security. What Harry spoke about earlier, privacy and data security, which it's a very, very big phenomenon. And we are thankful for England, because they have something called the GDPR, right? However, some companies still don't follow some of these things. I think recently, I don't know, maybe it's recently or last year, that you don't sell people's data or information to third party. Some companies were notorious for that. You know, that is their own kind of source of income. They collect data and then they sell it out to, you know, third-party companies and all of those things. All right. So digital trust is a very, very essential component or concept rather in the digitalization process. As a company, let's say as a business owner, for instance, and there's no way you are a company, you don't have people's data, maybe through sales, through email marketing and all of those things. How do you handle those things, right? And these people, that's what's it called? They have tools that they have created. For instance, the AWS, that's the Amazon Web Services. These are part of the tools they have created. And this man has created this tool to ensure that people's businesses are safe, people's informations are safe online. As business people, as owners, how can we develop digital trust? I want us to have a short conversations regarding that. How can we develop digital trust as professionals and as business owners, whether you are charity, whether you are profit-based and all of that?
I think you basically talk about GDPR. GDPR, I know very well about GDPR because, again, as I said, my previous job, it was something really big. But as long as you've got legitimacy, you can actually work with data.
Mhm.
So if you buy a product and for 1 year, I'm allowed to sort of like talk to you because I have sort of like, to me, I have a legitimate consent to sort of like get in touch with you because you bought a product within 1 year. So you've got a cooling off period, which is like 1 year. So you can talk to Becky for 1 year because you have that sort of like legitimate consent because she bought something from you recently. So a charity, for instance, someone that donate to you, now you can actually sort of like legally talk to that person for a year because based on like what they've done recently with you. But for me, it's kind of like, I would say a year is very long. If someone hasn't sort of like showed any interest or hasn't sort of like interacted with your product or services, after 6 months, really, you shouldn't be in touch with them because to me, they have moved on, they're no longer interested. So it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult because like even the phones that we use, everything that we use at the moment, your data is all over the place, really.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's a particular thing that I want us to talk about, which is accountability, platforms taking responsibility for ethical operations and fair practices. And I would want to add that in the age of AI, because we are in the age of artificial intelligence, and sometimes there was a trend that happened. Sorry, I use X a lot, and that's why I try to go back on it. So there's a particular app that was developed, an AI, to say, oh, try to tell me what they would put their X account on it, and then they will say you should summarize what they have been doing and all of those things. And the thing will, bash you to say, oh, you only retweet people's posts, you only do this thing. And it was very, very, very kind of hilarious. However, there is a particular growing tech trend in artificial intelligence about ethical concerns. And that was what caused, I'm going to Elon Musk now. That was what caused the rift between him and OpenAI. That how can we ensure that these softwares that we are producing or we are developing are ethically viable? Because if you watch a lot of podcasts, like one of those big guys' podcasts, I watch one of the early developers of AI. If you watch that thing, you would not want to have anything to do with AI because it was so scary. However, based on the fact that some of the people developing it came about to say, no, there should be ethical concerns raised on how we can use AI because these things are machines. What you program on them, what you put on them, how they behave, they do predictive analysis, and there is a possibility that they can also tap from the negative aspects of the various informations available online. So, for instance, there was an ethical concern about Elon Musk products, right? The Cybertruck. So the autopilot was going and someone was pushed, all right, on the road, and immediately it swerved automatically and it hit another car. And that one, there was an accident. So people were asking, they were kind of having conversation that what are the ethical concerns or ethical practice? One, there is someone that the car already saw that he would run that person, the car would run that person over if it doesn't swerve. Now, what happens to the person the car has, collided with and this thing? So there's a lot of ethical concerns in terms of digital trust. And these are spaces for business owners. If you're a software developer or anything, these are spaces we really need to look out on developing tools, developing, softwares that can help solve some of these situations. I think our time is fast spent. We could go to the next one, which is digital democratization. And we could agree that due to the current trends of tools available to us, we have access now. Part of what we've talked about, that's the digital access, ensuring widespread availability of digital tools and internet connectivity. Because if we want to really have thorough digitalization, you need to have widespread connectivity. For instance, if you don't have access, if you don't have digital access in terms of infrastructures like Wi-Fi, connectivity, and all of these things, there cannot be digital democratization. And that's what this man is trying to do. Elon Musk, right? Building a space, building facilities in the space such that every country can have access to the internet. All right. If every country have access to internet, and that's why some people kind of misunderstand him, that says he's about pro-life. He's like, this wokeism must stop. Things must come into proper perspective and proper shapes. All right. And however, there's a lot of controversies about that. The next one is participation, facilitating equal opportunity for individuals and organizations to contribute to and benefit from digital advancement. All right. And that's part of what we are doing. I know this is a very small platform now, but we don't know where it's going in the future. All right. We could start talking about it, making plans about it. I know by the time we start the next one, we talk about it even on the social media. Oh, we attended this particular program. We could all come around, have conversation. I know there are big technology experts in Portsmouth here who are not aware of these things. And thankful to Rebecca. So she mentioned, I think, Becky Lodge, and she said, okay, when next we are having another one, I should call on her. So these are the conversations, because by the time we start bringing these people into this conversation, we tend to increase participation and providing the digital literacy to empower users. So for instance, there are people in their 50s, 60s who doesn't even have a clue of what we are talking about. All right. If we start having that conversation in a space like this to say, oh, if you are 40 or 50 years above, let's come together. We want to have a cybersecurity training or workshops to tell them, oh, you don't go to this site. If you see these things, these are trying to steal your informations. And those people will be grateful because, one, they tend to have a new light and information about whatever they are doing, all right? And I believe that's part of what Portsmouth Tech and Cultural Hub is all about. And in the coming year, we'll be doing a lot of workshops in collaboration with organizations within Portsmouth. Okay, affordability, making technology affordable, all right? And everyone will agree with me. Is technology affordable? Oh. Technology is now affordable. There was something that came to my mind. I said, when technology first started, like you could use MS Word, all the complete package for free. But everything now is paid service. They'll give you 1 week trial and then they start to get money from you and all of those things. Who could
that trial, you can't access it
even without
register
your card, your details, right? So let's quickly talk about that. What could be the reason for that?
I think, in my opinion, I'll just ride on what Microsoft CEO had said some time ago, especially for entrepreneurs, that you want to build a business and make money while you sleep. And so a lot of these businesses have actually had a model of one-off buy, where you just buy the solution and that's it. You don't go back to the solution provider. but the models are changing now to subscribing to these services. So I think that's why a lot of these companies are changing to subscribe to the service. It keeps the company going, and also it also helps them to be on their feet to keep improving on the solution, because once you subscribe to it and they are not giving you the service, the best quality of the service, you can decide that, okay, I don't want it anymore. And that's where all this trial come into play, where you have to use it first for like 30 days, and then you decide, oh, I actually love using this application, it's meeting my needs and all of that. So that's it, in my opinion, why the model was changed. It's just for the new generation and improving on the quality
of services. Yes, that is right. However, yes, but if we want to talk about those, because when we are talking about the digital democratization, that is including people that lacks the access to digitalization, right? And there was a conversation going on about the African space. How many Africans can afford to pay £30 a month or £25 a year to access some of these things? These are conversations we should be looking at. Can we develop our own kind of, these are business opinions that people are raising, that, okay, yes, people cannot afford it. Can there be a substitute? So for instance, we have in marketing, some of us know our toothpaste, there are different brands, right? And you go for the brand that you can afford, all right? So people have started having that conversation as to, if what's it called now? Microsoft tools are so expensive for some part of the world. Can we have a substitute that will have the same functionality? And it's already happening. All right. Google Sheets is there for Excel. They have virtually similar features. However, their usage is different. Can there be other tools or other softwares that can match the services these people are providing, and these children or these people can have access to, so as to bring us to this particular concept of digital democratization? So the conversation has started, and business people, software developers, are there things that you can build to have access to this kind of market? Because yes, they may not be able to pay, let's say, £30 for these things. However, they may be able to pay 25 naira or something, or the tools they are using there. And by the time you get millions of people using it for that thing, you are generating income, right? But these are conversations for another day. But we just need to know that there are some key democratization concepts which has to do with education, access, and participation. I want to go to the next slide. Lessons for business owners. I'm so sorry that these things are so tiny. All right. I know people are kind of struggling.
I know what about that. Microsoft, for instance, they're still not in Africa. So if you have a Microsoft product and you go to, they're in South Africa, and Egypt. But apart from that, because I know it well, because with our child education program, we're working with Microsoft under their Gig Academy.
Oh, okay. That's
the Gig Academy is basically training people on the ground to be able to help and support Microsoft users. So it's really good, because obviously if you take Guinea, for instance, the average salary is like 60 quid. But with Microsoft Gig Academy, because it's not the contract that we have with them, and it's still developing. So we've recruited like 15 people, like a cohort of like 15 people. They've been trained on Gig Academy. This is like to support Microsoft customers looking after their services. When they're certified, after 6 months intensive training, they get given job remotely by Microsoft to support their customers. And then the basic salary then is like $600, which is really, really good. But the trouble that we currently have is Microsoft, they do not exist they don't sort of like provide their services in Africa at the moment, especially like in West East Africa. If you have the Microsoft license, it's either they bought it from Europe or America, or to bring it, and something goes wrong with it, you don't have anyone to talk to. You have to go back to where you bought it from to sort of like go and do it. It's a really virgin market at the moment, and anybody looking into it, you should look into it, because a lot of people have got access to these things, and then Google is taking over. Microsoft is now desperate to get into the African market
Markets, yeah.
before Google sort of like take over everything.
Yeah, it's quite a very
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, most of their services are free, but
yeah,
because Microsoft is bigger, it would be nice if anyone is looking into it to look into it straight away.
it's a very robust conversation, to be honest. It might take us a lot of hours to talk about it,
Right.
because from an African perspective, technology is actually very expensive in Africa.
Yes.
That's very sad truth, and I think that's why you have a lot of people when you what do we call it now, piracy of softwares.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why you have a lot of that. I think maybe that's why the changing of the model, how the solution works, like Microsoft now, they are taking it completely offline. You can't install it locally on site on your PC anymore. It has to be on the web. So if you're now looking at it on the web, where you have not very good quality of internet service in some countries in Africa, how do you manage that? So it's a very robust conversation. Technology is very expensive in Africa to deploy the infrastructure. And if you're talking about affordability in Africa, it's a very relative conversation. The infrastructure, I've been in the infrastructure space in Africa for about over 10 years if I relocate my family. And I can tell you that it's very expensive. So some of these companies that we see that you can actually afford in Africa, it's based on charity, and then they kind of reduce the cost for specific regions so that they can actually use these applications. Is if they're actually selling it in the amount they will sell it to Europe, and it's not affordable. To be honest, it's not. Yeah, there are so many things involved. I've had conversation recently for a project on IP telephony, and what the guys were saying is that you can deploy IP telephony easily in the UK. If you want to deploy it in a country in Africa, it might not work. If you want to use Amazon Web Service, it won't work because of one thing or the other regarding to bug or network or policies around some of these countries. So it's a huge conversation to have. Yes.
Thank you so much. As we can see, this is what Portsmouth Pompey Tech and Professional Forum aims to achieve, to have conversations on how businesses can be created for other platforms, other economy. And that is why we have digital, what's it called? Digital democratization, all right? You can be here, nobody will stop you to go and invest in Africa, right? To go and do these things, and these are landmarks. You can go to Asia to go and develop these things, and that is why we are here, to have these robust conversations from the likes of Mr. Osmani, from the likes of everybody here, all right? So lessons for business owners and career professionals from Jeff Bezos. Number one, innovate relentlessly. Number one is innovating relentlessly. They started from number one, which is Jeff Bezos started as a online bookshop, but we could see his trajectory in the last 25 or 30 years. He has moved from being the online book vendor to a giant company by having different tools like AWS, Amazon Prime, the one that everybody watches TV on, you order on, and all of those things. So as a business owner, if you have a particular venture and you are already succeeding, because I know that there's business life cycle, all right? Business ideation, when you start and then it's at its peak, then it could come down. However, these guys have mastered the art of not dying, but reinventing. So, and how do they reinvent? They go into other ventures. When he started, he looked at it that, okay, there's nothing like cloud hosting. Even if there was, they are not as big. I think there's one from Oracle, all right? But these guys are not as popular as AWS. And they have so much, broken down the hierarchy of how they do things. They train people themselves. They do a lot of, marketing and all of that. So as business owners, when we have a particular business, we can always reinvent ourselves. We'll be rounding up very soon and people can network, meet each other, all right? Number two is prioritize customer experience. Yes, because if your customers are not enjoying what you are doing, definitely you are not serving your purpose as a business, all right? So one thing people know Jeff Bezos for is that when they started the Amazon Prime, the Prime was to ensure that If there is an order today, they deliver that order today or at most the next morning. So for instance, this particular webcam, I ordered it around 12 a.m. on Thursday. And by 8 a.m., I was even taking my son to school and I saw that person bringing the package. They said it will arrive by 1, but by 8 a.m., the product was already at my door. As a customer, I am satisfied. I am happy. I was told I would get it. I was having the intention of 1 p.m., but I got it at 8 a.m. Super fantastic. All right. So if we can go to any length to please our customers and ensure we do that at a cost effective pattern, because these guys too, they break down the cost to say how much will it take for us to get this product to these people. All right, they calculate everything. So for instance, if they had told me that I will pay 20 quid to get it by 1 p.m., I say no, I'm not paying that. However, they told me £1. I was like, okay, £1 is still okay. I paid it and I even got it before that time. So we should look at cost effectiveness, prioritization of customer experience. Number 2 is we should embrace risk. I know many people may not want to do that, but these guys are risk takers. All right, I can see some smiles. But does anyone have anything to say about risk?
You don't try, you're never going to know, are you?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
When I signed the lease on this place, they told me we're never going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And we've been here a year and a half.
Wow, fantastic.
Keep dreaming big, I say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. So to all of us here, even those online, dream big, take risk. You can never know where that little idea that you are working on will take you to. All right. Amazon, if they had told him he would be a billionaire, obviously he had the vision. However, he never knew that an online bookstore will grow to what it has become. And that was part of the things we were talking about there. That's the components, the people he surrounded himself with, the structures, the operations, the processes. All right, because I believe there will be a lot of conflicts during that process. All right. There will be a lot of conflict during that process, but these are determined people. I know people that started with him. He must have sacked some of them.
Yeah. If I may also share to that, I was listening to Jeff podcast, and he was sharing about working with people and how you need to actually get involved to make sure that you understand the process that you put in place. They're actually sticking to the rules and all the processes. He shared about they usually have like a weekly SMT, senior management team meeting, and their head of marketing or customer service delivery manager was talking about the fact that when a customer calls in for support, that they pick up the call within 60 seconds.
Wow.
And Jeff was like, oh, that's really interesting. While in that meeting, he just picked up his phone and called Amazon support service just to make sure that this data you're presenting to us, is it actually telling us the true things of? They were actually in that meeting for about 10 minutes before the call was finally picked up by one of the Amazon support service agents. So it was just very clear that the data you've provided in this meeting is not actually telling us the true things of the picture of things. And that goes back to entrepreneurs or professionals. When you see a lot of these things, we need to actually get involved to be sure of the data that is being presented to us. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. We can see from that perspective, right? These guys, as I said, they are brutal in nature. As a normal, maybe CEO, they present things to you. You say, okay, that's fine. This is good. But he called them at that place, right? And I believe the person that. And I believe the person that provided that information would be asked on his
face. You can't give any excuse. Yes, you provided the data, but this is the real thing.
The reality around.
Yeah.
And I think it should. I think that should take us to leverage technology for scale, because the data that was provided to him, he used his technology, the phone with him, to say, okay, let me verify this thing now. Let's prove it right now. So it is important to leverage what we are doing. And I love, there was a particular post by Spark Community. They tried to do some kind of how would I call it now, content, all right, and there is a lot of So even as charities, as non-profits, leverage technology, and the biggest technology we can leverage, as you know, is the social media. It's one of the biggest tools that have been democratized. I think 30, 40 years ago, those that are professional will know that if you want to advertise, you have to go to a PR company. All right, you have to pay them huge sums of money. They help you, but now you could decide to sit down, create something on yourself, and put it out there. And you never know, people will reach out. All right. The first event that we did, I just put it out and did a Facebook ad. And this gentleman here, he thought, oh, I never knew this thing was happening in Portsmouth. These are part of the things, right? We leverage social media as a professional and as a business owner. There are a lot of social media tools for professionals, which is LinkedIn. Elon Musk doesn't like LinkedIn. He said they are jokers. That people on that link is jokers. But however, we are just saying, as professionals, you should be able to leverage either one tool to make sure that you are reaching out to people, and before you know it, things can change. Think long term, and this is what there's a particular thing that is synonymous about both of them. They are both fans, or will I call them fanatics, of space exploration, because Jeff Bezos also has Blue. I've forgotten the name of his own exploration site, private company Blue. Both of them have gone to the space and see what is happening there. However, one is more tenacious than the other, probably because SpaceX got the contract from the US ahead of him, and there has been a very slow talk about space exploration from Jeff Bezos. However, these guys have long-term dreams. If you ask Elon Musk now, he said by 2030, people will be living on Mars, and he has already started developing the tools. He has solar panels, solar energy that is already developing that could last people years. When you don't have access to energy, he has developed things that could help people to live in those places. He is already building those processes, those things around to make sure those things happen. All right. Leverage global impact, adapt to challenges. I know challenges, and Rebecca would agree that there was a lot of challenges. As she rightly mentioned now, that people said no, she couldn't, they can't, how would they pay the lease in this place? That would be like if someone new wanted to take up that, they'll be like, no, that would be a big challenge. And she adapted, and this is it today. Amazing place. Some people, like the first time I walked into here, I said, I never knew that this kind of place existed here. And people are coming here now. People are seeing things. And this is a start of new things, right? We should always adapt to challenges. And
by the way, you don't ever leave. You're now in the Spark family.
Yeah.
You try and leave, and I'll hunt you down.
So be mission
very
driven.
aware. Drama is trying to get away for ages.
So be mission driven, right? And we are coming to the end of this particular discussion, right? Be mission driven. These guys, they had a mission that they want to become the number one. So in your professional life, in your business, if you want to be the number one in that sector, you have to be mission driven. All right, and continuously upskill, which I have a particular quote that education is a lifelong event. So it's not until you go to school, you read. Reading is part of education. Learning new skills is part of education. And I believe that Elon Musk was just a software developer, but now he has become another thing entirely, because before he would say he wants to build a reusable rocket, he must have read tons of books on that particular thing. Because I watched a particular listing on YouTube about that particular this thing, and one of the engineers said, "Are you crazy? How is that possible?" Right? And when Donald Trump was talking about how the last one they launched went off, I said it was so beautiful. He knows how to narrate things, and it was like you can see it small, but it's a very, very gigantic edifice and all of that. And that thing went up into the space and came back, and it is there. So we need to constantly upskill. And I think so. This is our conclusion. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk exemplify how vision, resilience, and an innovative mindset can transform industries. Business owners and career professionals can draw inspiration from their approaches to leadership, risk-taking, and problem-solving, applying these principles to achieve their own goals. So thank you very much. This is the end of this particular presentation, and I really thank everyone that has made this possible. I want to thank Rebecca for giving us this space. We are so grateful. We are so grateful, and as you rightly said, we are now part of the Spark community family.
Don't get away.
We are now part, and I want to say a big thank you to Harry as well. Harry is a young budding talent in Portsmouth. He owns front to back development, and if you're online, you need web development services, you need consultation and advice about your tech projects, please, you can reach out to him on he's on Instagram, he's on LinkedIn.
On Instagram.
Yes, he's on Instagram, he's on LinkedIn, he's on TikTok as well. So you could reach out to him for talks, for conferences, and all of that. Thank you everyone for coming today. We really appreciate us. And we're going to be having a lot of programs in partnership with the Urban family. These are great people. Please put the camera on him. We are grateful. We are grateful to have Mr. Usmani.
He's almost as nice as me.
So next year is going to be a very robust year for Portsmouth Tech and Cultural Hub. We are going to be having a lot of trainings, a lot of workshops. Some of these people, faces you are seeing here, you will see them very well next year in terms of the workshops, the webinars, and all of that. So if you want to be part of this family, you can send us a message on LinkedIn. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram as well, and Facebook, because we need volunteers to do these things. We cannot do it alone. We want to train children, we want to train teenagers, we want to train adults as well who want to, move into tech. All right. We believe, as we rightly said today, we should constantly upskill. Right. And by the time we do it, we can see there's still going to be a discussion. I think we are going to bring Mr. Osmani to one of our webinars, albeit virtually, to talk and discuss about some opportunities within the African settings that needs technological innovations. All right. Because many people on this part of the world does not know our story well. And I think we need to tell our stories, right? To talk about the opportunities they're creating, developments for our people back home, and then creating shared prosperity in the United Kingdom as well. Thank you everyone for coming, and God bless us. Thank you.
How are you? Yeah, nice to be I'm trying to
He's almost as nice as me.
Now it's going.